welcome to the show. I'm your host, Adam Mueller with the State Your Business podcast. And today I have with me Nick Nelson from Nelson's Automotive, and you have 4 or 5 locations?
5. We're up to 5 now. We added a 5th location like a year and a half ago.
And where are these located at?
4 Minneapolis proper, so like airport area, Nokomis, we call it Lake Nokomis area, Uptown, Dinkytown, and over at Eat Street, so like Nicollet area. And then we just added the 5th location, which is Minnetonka.
So very centralized in the Twin City metro.
Yep. Minneapolis West. Yeah.
So what's your background, Nick? Where did you grow up, and how did you get into the car business or the repair business?
Well, I grew up in Minneapolis, South Side, and was always into cars, thought cars were cool. In high school, I wanted a nice car and couldn't afford one, so I started working on one.
Working on a nice car?
Well, it wasn't a nice car. It was a car. It was a, what was it? It was an 87 Buick Regal.
Okay.
Like cream color with a blue interior. It was good, but brakes, put wheels on it, put a carburetor intake, I just enjoyed working on stuff. So I did that. Went to work in high school right away, started working. Got a job changing oil. Like Paul Williams Tire on Lake Street, which is not there anymore. That was Paul Williams was Bobby Williams of Bobby and Steve's Auto World's brother.
Okay.
And so they had been in the car business, long time. Bounced around between jobs, moved to Arizona for a while. I worked at a place in Phoenix I think I was 19 when I moved to Phoenix. I worked at Turbo RX, which was close to Firebird Raceway in Phoenix, which is the drag strip, so all the drag racing guys would come there. Filling nitrous bottles, working on Mustangs. So that was my first experience with performance cars, or getting my hands on cars like that. Moved back.
Did you get to drive them, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Drive them. I was young. I was no master technician at that point. I was just changing oil, tires, right? We were right by the drag strip, so we did a lot of drag slicks on wheels. So I learned how to handle, Bogart was popular back then. Or
Ricky Bogart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really light race wheels, getting tires mounted on them without bending them. Stuff like that. Just kind of always been around cars, doing stuff with cars. I just gravitated towards mechanical things in general, I guess. It's good. It's been good.
And then somehow you went from Arizona,
came back to Minnesota. Yeah, 9/11 happened, and my parents were kind of freaked out. So my dad called and was like, "I think you should move home," and I said, "Okay." So I packed my stuff in a U-Haul. At the time, I had a 71 Ford F-150, and I rented a car trailer, loaded it up on the car trailer, loaded the U-Haul up, and drove myself back here. And then I worked like odd jobs, construction stuff, landed at Bobby and Steve's Auto World, and I started working for Bobby Williams, and then TJ, he was an owner at the Bryn Mawr location. He was a great guy. And I worked there for a few years, and by this time it's like 2006 or 7, and I'm making good money. We had got a house, triplex. I had purchased my first place, which was a triplex, and I was doing well, so I quit my job. And I think as being a young person, I partied all of that summer. And of course, then 2008, the crash happened. I think that was August or something of 2008. And I remember thinking, oh man, I got to do something.
Because you're unemployed.
Yeah, I'm unemployed. Now I got this mortgage on this place. We got to make sure I can pay. And I just started fixing cars. I had already been fixing people's cars in the driveway. People bring a case of beer. We'd hang out in an afternoon, and I'd fix their car. They'd throw me a couple bucks, and I thought, man, I can really turn this into something. And so then I started taking it more serious. My neighbor, Kevin, helped me make a business card. I kind of set the garage up to fix cars and just started. That was like July or August of 2008. And by that fall, it was turning cold. I was making money and the phone was ringing, so I rented a warehouse space over in South Minneapolis, over in the hood, like 30, I just drove by it yesterday actually, the Purity Bakery building on 35th and Portland, that's one block over. Anyway, so I started renting there. I was there for 2 years, bought a lift. My buddy Tyler, who came to work for me, that's Repair Right. He also worked for Bobby and Steve's. We knew each other. So we started fixing cars, and that's, you know, it really started to take off. The city came in. There was a lotion factory or a place, a small boutique essential oils and body lotion. They were manufacturing the stuff in the space next door to mine, and they had left a pot of beeswax or something on their stove, and they went to lunch and it boiled over and whites, like we thought the building was on fire. So anyway, the fire department shows up, go through my shop, go through their shop, everything's good, they leave. So like, man, a month later, city inspector shows up and says, "Is this a auto repair shop?" I said, "Yes, what can I do for you?"
Where's your sprinklers?
Yeah. Then they he hands me the business card. I used to remember his name. He was a great guy, Minneapolis inspector. And he handed me his business card and says, "Mr. Nelson, do you have a license to operate here?" I said, "No, but I've got insurance." And I was just naive. And yeah, so they send me a letter. You can't run an auto repair shop here. And I remember a good buddy of mine calling him and saying, "Hey man, we've got a problem." He was a smart guy, Chris Reese, and he's like, "No problem, we're just going to apply for the license." So we apply for the license, we go through all of that. Of course, they're always going to deny the license, but they allowed me to operate while I was in the licensing process. They didn't shut me down, which was great. And we did that for, we strung it out as long as we could. It was probably a year and a half. And the whole time, the business is growing, things are going well. I've developed a relationship with this city inspector. Gosh, he's retired now. Can't remember his name.
Appealing it when it gets denied.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he was great. He played the game with me. I think he wanted to see me succeed, right? And so then I was looking the place, what is now the Dinkytown location, which was my first location. I had heard it was for sale. The previous owner was going out of business. At that time, it was a U-Haul rental and auto repair shop. So I go over, take a look at it. It's literally the only place I looked at. I looked at one place, decided that day, yep, I'll take it. Never looked at another property, nothing, right? Just excited, right? I was so excited, and it all felt so impossible. It didn't seem real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And cut a deal, purchased the place. U-Haul approached me. They wanted to stay, right? And this was Dinkytown, right? So we're renting trucks to college kids and selling boxes and tape and all this crap out of this little repair
so you're
shop.
Operating the U-Haul
Yeah,
too.
so we're operating U-Haul and fixing cars.
Okay.
And it was me, Tyler was around and helping a lot. Man, at that time though, I was answering the phones, estimating the jobs, ordering the parts, fixing the cars. I was doing it all. No big deal. I was young and ambitious, and so for like that 5 years, from like summer of 2008, for like 4 years, all I did, man, that was like my whole life. I just worked and cars, and I wasn't doing much, man. I was just head down, and it didn't feel like work, right? I wanted to be there. So early in the morning, late at night, there was a Subway next door. I lived on Subway, and and then it started to click, and I thought, man, this is really working. I'd like to do another location, and the Nokomis location, which is over by Lake Nokomis, came up, and I went and looked at it. And again, like, it's the only one I looked at. I looked at it once, cut a deal with the guy. By that time, I had developed some relationships, with an attorney and a real estate guy, So I just started making phone calls. Said, I want to do this. Let's make it happen. And that's kind of how it's been the whole way. I
Did
never,
you look at your third one? Did you look at a couple of when you got to your third store?
No.
Just walked in.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't thought about that before, Adam.
You're a stick and move guy.
Yeah, stick and move. There was an opportunity would come up, and I would seize it. Right, seize an opportunity. And I think they've all worked out really well. Just a never fail attitude. I still never feel like, oh, this isn't going to work, or this can't work, or this. There has never been an exit plan. There's never been a, what if it doesn't work? I don't know how to explain that. I just do it.
Well, tell me about your fifth location.
Oh, that's the crown jewel now. That's out in Minnetonka. I had been looking at some places after COVID. COVID and all that stuff hit, and we really slowed down our growth. We had been doing, I was up to 4 locations by the time COVID and all that started. Was that 18? Something? Gosh, it's hard to believe that was 18, 19, it's 2025. Anyway, kind of hunkered down, made it work, survived through COVID.
How did that affect your industry?
It wasn't bad. We had shut down for when things were real scary in the beginning and nobody really knew what was going on. We shut down for like 2.5 weeks, and the guys were getting antsy. And then they had come out and declared transportation essential. So we were now essential workers, and my guys would not qualify for the unemployment stuff as essential workers. So we had to go back to work. So we started advertising and opened the shops back up and started firing away. And then the stimulus money started coming in, and people they were at home, they didn't have a lot going on. So there was kind of 2 crowds. There was a crowd that really had hunkered down, and then there was us who were kind of forced to be out in the world doing it, right? And people got the stimulus money and they wanted to fix their cars. So they fixed their cars, and that kept us going.
What about performance modifications? Do you guys get into that at all?
That's funny you say that. My first location is Nelson's Performance and Repair, right?
Okay.
And I was young, and I really wanted, I was like, I'm gonna build awesome fast cars. And then I was into more classic cars, right? Old Chevys, Ford trucks, classic cars. And I was kind of the only person that kind of knew that or was doing that. So when that work would come in, it was on me to do. It's really hard to make money in the performance business. People who make money in the performance business, huge respect, because it's tough. And projects take a long time. Life situations change for people. It's not a priority. It's expendable income. It's not necessity. And we slowly have gotten away from that. We are a general repair shop now. We fix daily drivers so that you can get to work. That's what we do. And now that I'm older and I've got other things going on, I'm not as interested in performance cars as I used to be. I still have some cars around, but it's not what I'm doing. I'm doing family and kids and hunting and fishing and all that. But
how old are your kids, and how many do you have?
I got 2 boys, 10 and 12.
Okay. So they're at the age where they're getting active in the sports.
Yeah, man,
and
they're
the
into
hunting
sports and they want to be outside and camping. I did a bunch of camping and stuff as a young person in Minneapolis. As a at-risk youth, I was sent all over the place via the Hennepin County. Thank you, Hennepin County, for all those amazing camping experiences. Some extended, so I enjoy it. I remember enjoying those things. My oldest son has a love for the outdoors like crazy, so we're doing a lot of that. So yeah, and sports, right? So they require a lot of time. So personal stuff is not happening so much right now, which is okay, But yeah, so it's been great. The new location is huge. I'm super blessed and just happy that it all worked out. I don't know what else I would have done if I didn't get in the car business.
And that's in Minnetonka?
That's in Minnetonka, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's 101 and Highway 7, right in between there, Minnetonka Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's growing fast. It's been, we opened the doors November 7 of 2023. So it'll be, November of this year, it'll be 2 years going into winter this year. And it's going good, man. I'm lucky.
What differentiates you from other automotive repair?
We're still that small town local vibe. You build a relationship with us. We're the kind of shop take you in the back of the shop and show you what's going on. Of course, now we're getting into the digital vehicle inspections and pictures and videos, and we can email you a comprehensive estimate or text you, which is the way the industry's going. But you get to build a relationship one-on-one with your service advisor, with your people, and it's just a much more personalized experience as opposed to some of these bigger corporate outfits. They're great, but they're run. I've never run my company based on margin, gross profit. I've always run my company on a feeling, Adam. Is it working? Does it feel like it's working, or is it not? Or I've never squeezed the turnip as hard as you can, if that makes sense.
Sure. You're not running it on just a spreadsheet?
No, I'm not running it on a spreadsheet at all. I wouldn't know how to read a spreadsheet. So guys like you are for. I have no formal training, right? So I dropped out of high school. I went to work. I have done things the hard way, right? Biggest regret, not finishing school. Finished school. Wish I would have taken some college courses, business management, finance. I've had to learn all this stuff. And my biggest advice for people is surround yourself with people who are smarter, better than you, and listen and learn. And that's how I've done it. I have leaned on some amazing people who've been willing to help and share with me their information on how they became successful, and that's how we've done it, man. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes, Adam.
Sure.
That's okay. I don't.
So in other words, you're saying you're relationship driven.
Relationship driven, 100%. This world is built on it's who you know, and then following through, being respected. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Period. And those are the people I surround myself with. Those are the kind of people that work within my company. That's what I require for my brand of success.
How many people work within the company?
Not quite 30.
Okay.
And we're hiring.
I mean, what's that like? What's the landscape like for hiring technicians right now?
It's really tough. If we're hiring a quality technician or someone capable of diagnosing a intricate automotive-based issue, those people, you're generally hiring them from someone else. You just are, and that's hard, right? Or if I'm losing a person, I always feel terrible if someone puts in their 2 weeks and says, "Oh, I'm going to such and such place," and I always say, they put their 2 weeks in and they're done. They 100% have my blessing. I want to see people succeed, right? But I'm always like paying attention. Why did we lose that person, right? People don't quit jobs; they quit people, right? They're going to go to the other place and do the exact same thing they were doing at my place, or they're going to come to my place and do the same thing they were doing there. What makes our work environment better? That's what to hire high quality people, you have to have a place where people want to work. Clean, well lit, nice uniforms, a company they can believe in, values and operations that they can get behind, right? I always say, if my technicians are telling their friends and family to come to our shop, we're doing something right. Does that make sense?
It does.
And
I think that was really well stated. People don't quit jobs, they quit people.
Yeah, people quit being around people they don't feel good about, or don't trust or don't like, or, not everybody's for everybody. Sometimes there's personality conflicts, stuff like that. But in general, that couldn't be more true. That's what it is. You can throw all the money at people you want, and if they're not bought into what you got going on and enjoy coming to work, it's just not going to happen for you.
And how have you built that team culture? Because one of the things that really impresses me about, just the high level example you shared of your business is you have managed to remove yourself as being the company yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
And you've made it so that the company can stand on its own two legs.
Yeah, for the most part, 95%. Yeah.
Sure.
And my job is shifted, right? So I am now in a support role as an owner. First of all, hiring high quality, motivated people. If a person comes in and maybe they don't have the strongest resume as far as, like, to say a leadership position, like a manager or a counter person, an estimator, sales associate. If they come in and their resume isn't super strong and they don't have the 5 years of experience, but I interview them and they've got a great attitude, humble, willing to learn, maybe a bit self-deprecating. That's my person. That's the person I want. We can train them on how to run our system and how to sell automotive repair, or what you can't train is being a leader, being genuine, personality, right? So people ask me, do you hire on skill? Or I think personality is the wrong word. They use a more vague word, but I hire the person. I don't hire the skills.
Because you can teach the skills.
Because you can teach the skills. Now, when we're talking about technicians and high-level technical people in the back of the shop, right? The people physically performing the repairs, you got to hire on ability, and then we just try to bring them on board with our mentality. It's collaborative, right? A lot of repair shops are paying commission-based pay, how much they produce. I generally am paying my technicians hourly or salary, so I guarantee their money when it's slow, right? If it's a slow time, they don't get a short paycheck, right? Which puts a lot of pressure on me to keep the place busy and full.
It does.
Which is okay. But also what it creates is a team mentality, right? So we're all in this together. So that if someone's working on a vehicle and they're struggling, another person on our team is generally more than happy to come assist, because they're not losing money or they're not trying to hurry up and finish their car to get paid while this guy struggles. Everyone in the shop works together to try to put out a good product for our people. And I would say that also differentiates us as an employer and the products we're putting out. Guys aren't working alone on your cars, it's a team effort. And that's created dynamics in the shop that allow me, that's part of my secret to getting out of the shop and the day-to-day operations is setting the stores up so they all feel like they can work as a team, right? Everyone has to participate in taking out the trash, cleaning the bathroom, picking the place up. There's no now we might get an entry-level guy and we say, your responsibility is the trash and so on and so forth, but that's behind an established understanding that everyone is responsible for the maintenance, upkeep of the location, right? Might be picking up trash in the parking lot, and guys who are above that or unwilling to be part of that kind of team generally don't fit in with what we got going on. It's just the way I see it. When I get to a place, oftentimes the first thing I do is go take out the trash and clean the bathroom before I talk to anybody.
Supportive role.
Supportive role. Yep. And then it also gives me as an owner a chance to say hi to the guys, walk around, check out I get to see what's the vibe in the shop that day. What does the car count look like? What is the state of the shop? It allows me to take in a bunch of information that I'm going to need when then we do sit down and have a meeting with the team and, where are we at? And it gives me some direction on the way that particular location is running, right? So,
yeah, with 5 locations, I mean, I would imagine you're probably bouncing around having meetings weekly, monthly?
Yeah, I try to get all the management team together like once a month, once every 2 months, and then meeting in the stores like once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
The communication part, I run around between the stores like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I try to take Thursday, Friday for other stuff I got going on. But yeah, I'm always around.
So you were able to get yourself in a place where you could be absentee and the company runs itself. And you had brought up on the customer end that you bring people back so that they can look at their car and see that process.
Yeah, if they want, sure, of course.
Did
We do that a lot.
something drive that? Is that something you saw where people were comfortable with it?
Working at Bobby and Steve's they are who they are. I just felt like I could sell the same repairs in a way where people felt better. There's for some reason in our industry, people feel taken advantage of. Well, not for some reason. People have been taken advantage of in the industry. They don't understand sometimes what they're buying. These are expensive things that we're asking them to pay for that they need. And if they don't understand it, they don't feel good about it, right? Myself included. If I'm purchasing something or if I'm interested in something and someone asks me to spend money on it and I don't understand it, that doesn't feel good. So that's kind of where it started for us is, complete transparency. And not everybody, because there are people, of course now we've been in business a long time, there's a lot of people that just drop the car off and say, call me when it's done, because they trust us, but we've earned that trust, right? But yeah, we generally try to build a personal relationship. Those are the kind of managers I hire. That's the mantra of my company is take care of our customers. Our customers are first, period. And it's cost me a bunch of money
to learn that, to get to that.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think I always was that person, just dialing in your system, dialing in your identity, right? I think it takes time as a business owner or a person who wants to do something for themselves. You have to learn how to handle all of that responsibility, right? So yeah, that's it. I love our customers, man. So many of our customers, they wouldn't think of going anywhere else, and that's a big responsibility.
It is.
Yeah.
How do you drive new customers? So you have the ones that you maintain relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
You walk them in the back if they want to see something.
Of course. But man, Google is king, dude. Google ads, social media presence. I mean, I've done it all. I've done everything from direct mailers to, we used to run newspaper ads, sandwich board signs to, Google ads, radio. Just about building the brand self-awareness. You always kind of got to be, you'd be amazed the amount of customers, like new customers will get into a store that's been there for 10 years. And they'll say, man, I've been driving down this road for 2 years. I never knew you were here. They don't, they're busy with their day. They're going by, but eventually they hear that name, Nelson's Auto Repair, enough times, and then they see the logo, social media or in an ad or something, and then all of a sudden then they happen to see it on the road and they're like, oh, that's where that place is. I heard good things. I'm gonna check that place out. Google reviews, all that stuff are huge. Just about every new customer that comes in says, I read your reviews. And you know what they say? They never say, oh, a bunch of great 5-star reviews. You know what when I'm there, I'm not there all the time, but I will hear from my managers, or when I am there, if I'm in one of my stores and I know it's a new customer, I always stop and talk to them. I introduce myself, I thank them for coming in, and then I ask them, how did you hear about us? And it's either, a friend of mine or someone word of mouth, right? Huge in my industry. Or they say, I was looking for a place. I knew I had a problem. I was looking for a repair shop. And they tell me at them, they say, it's not the 5-star. They say, man, I read the 1-star reviews and I really liked your response. I respond to the 5 stars and the 1 stars. And if someone gives us a 1-star review, if it's legit, some of them are not legit. Unfortunately, there's so much competition on Google, and it comes in waves. It'll go a year or two, and all of a sudden you'll get 4 1-star reviews in a week or something. And it's I don't know if it's an attack from competitors or if it's social media or marketing companies that are promising ranking increases for our competitors, and then they're doing it, which I have my suspicions that to be true. I've had some run-ins with some marketing companies that were willing to do those kinds of things. I don't hire those kind of people. But anyway, they read our response. They read the 1-star responses, and I always take ownership. Again, if it's a legitimate review, I've got their name and phone number. I talk to my manager for whichever store they happen to be at. I talk through what happened. Maybe I check out the camera footage, and then I call that customer. And I don't call them to I call them to find out what happened and hear their side, right? There's our side, there's their side, and the truth, right? And I try to get to the truth. And if it's something that we did wrong or something that we screwed up on, I own it and I go out of my way to fix it, even at financial cost, because I want it to be right for our customer. So about a huge percentage of 1-star reviews that are legitimate, I can almost always turn it into a 5-star review, because I generally want good outcomes for my customers. I truly care. And that's a big key to keeping the base busy, is just when it does go wrong, that's where we shine, is if and when something does happen or go wrong, if it's on us, we own it,
Which I think stems back to you're just an authentic, genuine, relationship-oriented individual.
Yeah. What people think of me matter. What you think of me matters to me, right? Everybody in general. The way I'm perceived out in the world, I want it to be positive, right? I don't do well with people thinking ill of me. Sometimes you have to in business, right? Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you got to be the bad guy, or someone's got bad intentions, and I struggle with that the most, right? Like I try to build good relationships always.
And then you have your 5 stores running. What are you doing with your kids, family, off time, hobbies?
Man,
you gotta have something.
Yeah, I was doing car stuff for a while. Crown Rally was all consuming in my life for many years. Absolutely loved and adored it. Some of my very closest friends, have come through that in my adult life, right? Other hardworking, entrepreneurial-minded people. And now that the kids are getting older, 12 and 10, and we're doing sports, hunting, fishing, boating, you think cars are expensive. Get into this boat stuff, man. It's crazy. We're doing a lot of boating, our friend circle with the kids and their friends and stuff, kind of out on the lake, just doing that lake life stuff, man.
Do you live on a lake, or do you?
Yeah, we're right in Lake Minnetonka.
Okay.
Here. We are not on the lake, but we've got a boat on the lake, and like that's on the weekends and stuff. That's what everybody's kind of doing, and I enjoy it. You get to spend time with your kids unplugged in this era, right?
Sure.
So my oldest son is taken to fishing and hunting like crazy, so we're doing a lot of that, a lot of fishing. Minnetonka High School has a fishing team, a competitive fishing team. My son is in middle school, but he has joined their junior league. This thing is so big, these kids have to qualify to join the high school team.
Dang.
It's crazy. So it's like everything in my life. I don't do anything halfway. So we're all in on all this stuff, Yeah. So So kids, family, home, not going out much. Traveling, we're doing a bunch of that this summer. Well,
What places do you like to go? What kind of travel? Cruise ships? You flying out places? Road tripping?
We have found in the last 10 years that the beach, the beach, Caribbean,
Okay.
a lot of that.
What part of the Caribbean?
All the saints. St.
Okay.
John, St. Lucia, St. Martin.
Aruba at all? Or?
Aruba is good. Our favorite place is Grand Cayman Islands.
Okay. You been to Curacao?
No, I have not been to Curacao.
Just a little bit east of Aruba?
East of Aruba?
Yeah.
No, but like Belize. I think next winter is probably, we'll go a little further, like Fiji.
Okay.
Probably do Fiji, Greece, Greek islands. We did Corsa Rally 2 years ago all over Europe, and then flew to Greece. And
What'd you drive?
Huracan STO.
Okay, and you just rented it?
We rented it over there, yeah.
Okay.
We did 7 countries in 10 days.
Really?
Yeah, started in Barcelona, ended in Prague.
What are the roads like?
Amazing.
Really?
The roads there are amazing.
I always picture it being super narrow and janky.
Nope. The highways there are not like here. There's only the highways are 3-4 lanes wide, in great shape, but there's only an on or off ramp maybe every 5 miles.
Okay.
Instead of one at every, especially in the metropolitan area. So it's their highway system is designed for long distance travel, and that was great. The back roads, or the B roads, what we would call county roads here, very good shape. Some narrow, yes. Yeah, just amazing. Yeah, it was great. We did Monaco. We did the French Riviera, Saint-Tropez, and all of that. And
What time of year did you go?
we went early October.
Okay, so you caught, is it fall weather there?
Yeah, it was
too?
just starting to turn.
Okay.
Yeah. It was warmer than here, but yes, just coming into their fall. Yeah, it was great.
Gosh, that'd be fun.
It was fun.
And you take the whole family?
No,
I mean,
that
not
was
the
just a guy's
STO,
trip. That was
but-
just a guy's trip.
Okay.
That was a guy's trip. Yeah.
Do you have a group of guys? You talked a
Yeah.
little bit about just your circle.
Yeah,
What's that look like?
There's a group of guys kind of from all over the country that I've gotten to know over the years, and just a really solid group of dudes. I'm not gonna get too much into that, but
Sure.
I'm really lucky to have what has turned out to be a tight circle of successful people. Again, that I can rely on. That are very happy to share their experiences in business and life in a way that I can benefit, right? And now I try to do that for people coming up behind me. Young people, man, they need some guidance, some money guidance, just some life guidance.
That's where I was going at with
Yeah.
that is what does it look like, for people watching this? What's it look like for a successful entrepreneur that's put themselves in a position to be absentee and run 5 locations? What's that circle look like? What's the support system look like? Mentorship? I guess how much of your success is contributed to mentorship?
Huge portion. I would say for young people, be willing to take the risk, be willing to fail, be willing to do things that other people aren't. The long hours, the hardship, being broke. You got to be okay with that, knowing that you're headed to a better place. And I think that's hard, especially this world is going more and more to an instant gratification type existence. So
You can swipe into success.
yes, you can swipe into success, which is not true. Even my kids are of the age where they're watching YouTube, and there's YouTubers that are their age that are getting big views, and I have to remind them, like, those people, those young people who are doing YouTube successfully, huge commitment, huge. They're spending many hours per week recording, editing, coming up with these ideas, and executing them is no small task. And that's the same in anything you do. But just being willing to make some personal sacrifice for a long-term gain is huge. And also be willing to fail or make some mistakes, It doesn't always come up, sunshine and high fives, man. you know, and that's okay. It's part of the process. Failure is acceptable to me as long as it's on the road towards a success, right?
Well stated.
That's how I look at it. Like failure is it's part of the process, man. You can't get down on yourself. You can't get upset. You just got to take the hit and keep moving and decide that you're not going to let that happen again, you know? Yeah, so there's no secret sauce, man. It's hard work, period, you know?
So for somebody tuning in and they're in the area and they're looking for a place to bring their car for repairs, what would you say to them to win their business?
NelsonsRepair.com, 5 great locations. Check us out. You can find us on all the socials online. Just Google Nelson's Auto Repair. And
how many years in business?
Well, 2008 to now.
Okay.
So how long is that? 17 years already. Jesus, man.
Yeah, you're going on 20 here real soon.
Yeah, going on 20. Yep. Yeah. So I'm blessed and lucky to have made it this far. Cool, man.
It's awesome.
Appreciate
Thanks for coming and joining on the show.
Thanks for having me.
One last question for you.
Okay.
I know you did touch on it a little bit, but I want to go in a little bit more. Any plans on your exit strategy?
You know, I would probably like to sell it to my employees.
Okay.
Right?
ESOP?
Yeah. We'll wait and see. You know, I've got some people that have been with me since the beginning, man. I've got some long-term guys who deserve their up, you know, and they're working towards that, and I see it. On the other side of that coin, and we've talked about this with the team, is we'll see where my kids land, right?
Yeah.
And if they're interested in the business, I now have more experiences in business, right? I'm almost 50. I would probably like to step away from the automotive repair industry and try to guide them, see what they're interested in, and if they're interested in business, which I hope they are, I'm going to push my kids to working for themselves. What are they into? What's an emerging market 10 years from now? Products. I wish, knowing what I know now, I wish I would have gotten into. I almost did a line of car parts at one point. I almost started importing automotive parts, branding them and selling them, and I really wish I would have done that now. So yeah, I'd like to try a product-based business of some kind or something like that. So anyway, yeah, probably sell to the employees is probably the move for me.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need some big payday. I will not sell to private equity. Nelson's Auto Repair is not for sale to private equity, period. Yeah, that's where it's at.
So if you're in the Twin Cities and you're looking for automotive repair, Nelson's Automotive.
Yeah, check us out.
Check them out.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you joining the show.
Yeah, dude. Sick.